If you have heard or watched Formula 1, you will know it is one of the fastest sports in the world, with the cars reaching 223 miles per hour or roughly 360 kilometers an hour. However, only a few cars are known for speed, such as the McLaren MP44, the Williams FW13B, the Ferrari F2004 and the RB9 by Red Bull. But there is one car that has been more dominant and quicker, and it is the Mercedes W11. In order to understand this car, we have to look at the history of Mercedes. In 2014, there was a huge regulation change with hybrid engines and improved chassis to achieve better racing, and Mercedes got these regulations right. For example, in 2014, they won 16 Grand Prix and the team kept winning with 7 Constructors and Drivers titles from 2014 to 2020. It could have been 2021, but Michael Massey had a human error, so he gifted the title to Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Anyway, let's take a look at the 2019 season as this influenced the design team to construct the W11. The 2019 season was one of the best title fights with the new style of chassis. These cars included the halo, new front wing and a wider rear end to improve the airflow to try and get closer racing. But one team stood out to everyone, and it wasn't Mercedes. It was the team in red, Ferrari. Yes, the team that don't know how a strategy works in the sport. In this season, they found a loophole in the regulations, so this is what happened. The SF90 was very quick in a straight line, and this was very apparent in power-hungry circuits like Spa and Monza, where Leclerc won and Crofty said this. But Christian Horner, the Red Bull team principal, noticed this and made different types of scenarios that helped their straight line speed. The news came out they added extra fuel when the fuel pump sensor was off to give the team an extra boost on the long straights. When this happened, Mercedes had their struggles with tyre wear, tyre temperature, cooling and rear stability, but they still won the Constructors and Drivers titles. So in 2020, the designers looked at these problems and fixed them by putting a silver lining in the engine cover to reflect the heat to cool down their engine, and engineered a different suspension to make the rear end more stable. So the car was quicker and had more downforce because it impacted the design of the diffuser and the side pod configuration, meaning Hamilton could go flat around Pouron and creating this amazing sound. Furthermore, the one part of the car that stood out the most was the steering wheel. Now, let me explain. The steering wheel was called DAS, or dual axis steering, and Mercedes spent a total of $450 million developing this and the car, whereas Haas only spent $80 million, so they employed Nikita Mazepin. As he is from Russia, it didn't last long thanks to Putin. Besides that scandal, this is how DAS worked. There was a hydraulic manifold which allowed the steering system to move in and out. That process moved the steering arms apart. Therefore, it changed the toe angle of the tyres to improve their performance throughout qualifying and the race, which is why they dominated the 2020 season, achieving 15 pole positions, 5 1-2 finishes, 12 front row lockouts, and being the quickest car consistently every weekend with an average gap of 1 second to the rest of the grid. But what made the car even quicker was the drivers, who were Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, who won 6 world championships at Mercedes, could have been 7, but Nico Rosberg, or otherwise known as Brittany, according to Max Verstappen, beat him in equal machinery in 2016. Of course, the team principal of Max Verstappen Racing didn't like how dominant the Mercs were, so he spoke to the FIA about the DAS system, and they came to an agreement, which was Mercedes can use this for the 2020 season as it changed the tyres, not the suspension. So, Mercedes in 2021 created Brake Magic, which is a button. No, not that button, this one. The one that Hamilton forgot how to use in Baku. Apart from that, this is the reason the Mercedes W11 is one of or the fastest cars in Formula 1 history.